Now I want to talk about this, Resview family. I want to talk about this. Dame Dash. Dame Dash appeared on the Breakfast Club for another classic explosive interview. And I'm talking about off the rockers. This has been the most controversial Breakfast Club interview that I've seen in recent memory. No BS. Like this has been like I can't remember the last time an interview has been this explosive on the Breakfast Club. All right, so let me just get you up to par, okay? So Dame Dash appeared on the Breakfast Club, and there's so many clips that have been circulating on the internet. I want to play them, but I know I'll get a copyright strike from Breakfast Club because iHeartRadio or iHeartMedia, they don't play. So I'm not going to play it. You've seen it by now because I know the views should be in the like at least 1 million by now. But it was a great back and forth between the Breakfast Club versus Dame Dash. Now, Dame Dash in the last few years has been, he's always been braggadocious, a Harlem dude, telling you not to have a job, telling you to be more of an entrepreneur, all that good stuff, right? But in the last few years, he's been looking sillier, sillier, and sillier. I'm talking about doing interviews with his teeth falling out, wearing a patch on his eye, going through bankruptcy, losing assets, losing money, lost the rights to pay it in full, or all this other stuff. So Dame Dash went on there and was talking about he's supposed to be the new chairman of Revolt and he's Cameron's boss and all this. And then the following day, they Revolt spoke out and said it wasn't true. So it was a lot of stuff. But the most important thing that I want to talk about, because I know Dame doesn't have the best reputation in the music industry for all these years, and especially now. But the question is, was Dame right? Is Dame Dash right? And the reason I'm asking this is because he asked an important, or he said something about Charlamagne that really stuck out because it was a good back and forth. And the debate between like the back and forth between him and Charlamagne had him up. You know what I'm saying? He got one-ups on him, and then Dame Dash did the same thing back and forth. Dame Dash was calling him gay. Charlamagne said that he was broke. You know what I'm saying? Dame Dash walked out looking embarrassed. Charlamagne looked embarrassed. If you go through the comments, it's all mixed reactions. But my biggest thing that I took away from that, he talked about Charlamagne's masculinity. And I'm not talking about his sexual preference and everything like that, right? I think Charlamagne was trolling during the whole thing, all those gay jokes and stuff. But listen, he said, I don't like the way that you represent masculinity on this platform. Was he right about that? Because I ain't gonna lie. I think Charlamagne is a legendary at this point media personality. We've never really seen a media personality like Charlamagne or the Breakfast Club, period. Charlamagne is the reason for the Breakfast Club being so groundbreaking and different things like that. But, a lot of people have issues with how he's represented the Black community, not in totality, but Dame raised, some good points. Charlamagne, we know Dame, and we can joke on Dame all day. We know how he is, right? But Dame said, I don't like the way that you represent masculinity. I don't like the mindset that you put out towards the people on your platform, right? And when you're looking at it, I didn't look at it just from a gay standpoint. I'm talking about like just the things that like Charlamagne talks about. Like he'll have, suspected white supremacists on the platform and he don't challenge them like that. He had Joe Biden said that if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black. Didn't stand up and say nothing right then. And Larry Elder had to call him out for that. Him and Envy make a lot of gay jokes. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to the LGBT community. This ain't bashing them or nothing like that. But you play around with that. If you're not that, why are you playing around and joking? I know that people can joke and stuff like that. But Dame had a pretty good point when he talked about the masculinity. And when he's talking about masculinity, a lot of people throw shots at him, like being a man, standing on your masculinity, because a woman can be in her femininity and nobody has any issues, right? They look at men like we should have more feminine traits and stuff like that. We know it's an agenda going on. And Dame said they keep you on here to keep this mentality out here. Was Dame right about that? Now, rest assured, as controversial as Dame is, whether you agree with him or not, let me tell you something. Don't sleep on this. 2015, that interview Dame Dash did on the Breakfast Club back in 2015, the one where he said Chatty Patty and the whole entrepreneurship, that was a pivotal moment for the Black community. I want you all to do this. If you're watching this video, after you watch me, go to YouTube, type in Breakfast Club Dame Dash 2015 and go through the comments. Man, it's thousands of people saying that after seeing this interview with Dame Dash, it woke me up. After seeing this interview with Dame Dash, it made me start my LLC. I just got out of prison and I couldn't find a job. It made me start an LLC. I used to be working this 9 to 5. Now I own my own catering company. I used to work my 9 to 5. Now I got wisdom to do my LLC. It changed a lot of people's lives. I watch that interview at least once a year. At least once a year. One for entertainment purposes, but for one, for my mentality to be right. You know what I'm saying? To where you're not stuck working a 9 to 5. Nothing wrong with doing that, but having an end goal. You know, when Dame talks about working all these years and you don't have anything to pass down to your son, your daughter, working all these years, and you have to wake up and do the same thing each day. You know, you got to be told when to take a vacation. You got to be told to take time off and all this other stuff. While there's nothing wrong with that, and everybody can't be a business owner, there's nothing wrong with investing your money into something else. As controversial and loud as he was, that 2015 interview changed a lot in the Black community. That interview right there changed a lot of mindsets within the Black community. After that, you started noticing people talking about ownership more, rappers talking about ownership more. It was that tough love that your old granddaddy or your old uncle is kicking to you. It's like, you know, you should be doing better. And we needed that. So rest assured, that 2015 interview Dame Dash did really helped the mindset of the Black community to you know, or just anybody in general, just to not be a worker and be an owner. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? There's also nothing wrong with working. But you know, there was a lot of things in this Breakfast Club interview that Dame was saying, like as far as bankruptcy, you know, assets and different things like that. But it got overshadowed by him and Charlamagne going back and forth. But there shouldn't be anything wrong with you preaching about being a man, being masculine. That shouldn't be a dark thing to talk about or for people to criticize you and stuff like that. And when he was talking about Charlamagne's sexuality, he wasn't bashing his sexuality. He was just saying that's how you're moving and you should come out for, you know, and live your truth. But, you know, I'm not getting into all that. But I do think that Dame had some good points that he was making. And Charlamagne, the thing with Charlamagne, I feel Charlamagne, I understood both sides of that argument. You know what I'm saying? Charlamagne, Dame doesn't know how to talk to people. He's not a good communicator. Everybody he falls out with, if you see, he's always looking like the bitter old granddad or old uncle. You know what I'm saying? But everybody else feels like they're prospering. And, you know, him and Cameron got some stuff going on. 50 got some stuff, fell out with Jay-Z, fell out with everybody. You know what I'm saying? But Dame is a businessman at the end of the day. But Charlamagne pointed some stuff out and wasn't going to take the disrespect. And that Charlamagne, we haven't seen that Charlamagne since what? Since like what, 2014, 2015? Because Charlamagne started to kind of ease up a little bit with the whole mental health thing and all this other stuff, and all those allegations came out about him, you know, the sexual stuff. But Charlamagne kind of stopped being a troll after a while. And he still trolls Drake and stuff like that. But how Charlamagne was snapping at Dame and all this other stuff, getting under his skin, where Dame had to keep walking off and things like, we haven't seen a Charlamagne like that in over a decade. So that was pleasant to see. That was showing that old Charlamagne is still in there. But I think that half was with Charlamagne, half was with Dame. Envy got pissed when he brought up the Rico thing, but it was a very impressive interview. I had fun watching it, and I think that Dame was right about a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But what's the problem with preaching about masculinity? Because that is a lot of what's missing in today's modern age. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with somebody expressing that. It's so foreign to us for somebody to say, hey, be a man, because if you say that, that's like you're taking shots at the LGBT community. If you say be a man, that's like you're trying to crap on women. No, you depend on us to be the protectors and the providers of this society. So why can't we say what's wrong with being a man? Oh, you should open up more. It's not saying you can't have feelings. It's not saying that you can't cry sometimes, but having masculinity, there's nothing wrong with it. You try to throw that label toxic on it, nobody say that no more. If you are, that's trash. But Dame is right about a lot of things, okay? We can't act like that he's not. So Y'all let me know in the comments what you thought about that interview. And shout out to Dame Dash. Hope he gets it together with a lot of stuff. But excuse me, it was interesting to me.